Oh, it is. It is a Tuesday episode, a Taco Tuesday episode of Donno Daily here on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Whoa, whoa, can you guys still hear me? You know what? You know what I did? I was trying to click something completely separate and I clicked the I clicked the stop cam button. Somehow I wasn't there for a second. This is what happens, man, when you let me push buttons. I should take all the button pressing power away from me and give it only to Manny Chang with the beautiful shoes. Ninja Viking, hello to you in the chat. We've got some good folks already in the chat today. Ninja Viking, and you're damn right, man. The Miami Heat looked really good last night, smashing the Washington Wizards 121-100. Brady Hawk is going to join us. The boy wonder himself from the Five Reasons Sports Network. He is going to join us at about 2:15 today. Thanks to everyone who hops in here an hour earlier than usual. Usually we go 3 until about 4. Today we're going from 2 until about 3 because there is a soccer match, Coppa Italia match that I need to watch. I want to watch and I need to watch because I'm doing a show later tonight to talk about it. So yeah, yes, Finn's Tailgate. Chris, I am on a little early today. Hello to you. Hello to David. I love it. David is a geek like me. Happy birthday, John Williams, the composer of the Star Wars score. That is a big birthday. Now, this I do not know. If you could follow up for me, David, how old is John Williams today? Because I have no clue. I assume he's probably he's got to be in his 70s or 80s now. He's been around for a long time. Hello to Big Dan 305 as well. I want to remind everybody, whether you're watching us live or you watch the replay here on YouTube later on, do us a solid and smash that like button. Smash the like button. I want to make sure every episode gets over 100 likes. We did that yesterday. I think we got over 150 likes yesterday. Smash the like button and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Five Reasons Sports. You help the channel grow. The more likes we get, the more people's algorithms these videos are going to pop up in. The more people subscribe, the channel grows. Even if you feel the temptation, and the more sneakers Manny can buy, even if you feel the temptation to hit the unlike button, just the fact that you're here watching, spread the love. Hit the like button, man. Hit the like button and subscribe. So I do want to cover a lot of ground today. What's up, Devin Jordan? We are going to talk Heat with Brady Hawk. He's going to tell us why it's probably going to be a very quiet trade deadline for the Heat this week, as it should be, because the roster is clicking on all cylinders. The depth has been on point. I wouldn't tinker with too much. We're going to talk about the Heat's blowout win against Washington last night, the 3 straight wins the Heat have now earned. We are going to talk plenty of Miami Dolphins. Mike McDaniel. Oh, I'm getting all the feels with the content, the videos, and the photos the Dolphins are putting out there. We're also going to talk some Canes, right? Because Mario Cristobal is fishing and he's catching whales out there. I hate to steal that phrase from Pat Riley, but the coaching staff that Coach Cristobal is assembling at Coral Gables is excellent. The Josh Gaddis hire was an absolute coup. And something I've noticed in recent days, and I can tie this from the Canes back into the Dolphins, as we'll talk a little bit about Mike McDaniel here as we get going. Oh, and by the way, it's Taco Tuesday. So our guy, Taco Bout It, Dave Friedman, is going to join us at around 2:35 today. We're going to talk mostly Dolphins with Dave. But I've noticed something that Mike McDaniel, new head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and Josh Gaddis, new offensive coordinator of the Miami Hurricanes, have in common is over the past few days since those hires were announced and finalized, I have had a chance to speak to several individuals who are San Francisco 49ers fans and even people who cover the team, right, who can talk about McDaniel's tenure there in SF. And I've talked to several folks who are fans of and cover the Michigan Wolverines, which is where Josh Gaddis was the offensive coordinator before he came over to Miami. And I'm sure you've all noticed this. We're all sports fans here, right? Anytime you have a coach leave one place to go coach at another place, almost always when you talk to people who cover or root for the team that they left to come coach your team, they're going to have some things to nitpick about, right? You're going to hear some negatives. In fact, I've been in that boat because a couple of weeks ago, I did a couple of interviews around the country talking about Brian Flores. Like a guy in Houston had me on his show 2-3 weeks ago when Flo was a candidate in Houston. And listen, I had some good things to say about Flo. I had some not so great things to say about Brian Flores. That's usually how this works, okay? Usually people who covered or supported the team that a coach left to come coach your team are going to have something negative to say, something to nitpick. That's just the name of the game. Nobody's perfect. We all strive to be. What I find to be really encouraging about both Josh Gaddis, the new OC at the Hurricanes, and Mike McDaniel, the new head coach of the Dolphins, is everyone that I've spoken to, San Francisco people, Ann Arbor, Michigan people, I haven't heard one negative yet. I mean, it's crazy. Like, these could both end up being home run hires. And I hope and pray that they both are, especially in the case of McDaniel, because he's the head coach. Right? It's harder to replace and find a new head coach than it is, typically to find a new offensive coordinator. But no, like I've had folks who are San Francisco based who have gone out of their way to tell me, we're going to miss this guy. You down there in Miami, you are in great hands. This guy is so personable. He's so passionate. He's so good at his job, and he's so innovative. Innovative has been the word of the week, right? Ever since McDaniel to Dolphins, ever since those talks intensified and it became clear he was the guy, I feel like the word that I've used the most in my personal vocabulary is innovative, because I think that is probably the best singular word to describe Mike McDaniel. And I'm getting similar glowing remarks from Michigan folks about new offensive coordinator at the U, Josh Gaddis. They didn't want to lose this guy. You could say that Mario Cristobal, he got an assist from Jim Harbaugh, because had it not been for all of Harbaugh's shenanigans, I don't think Gaddis would have up and left Michigan if that was a stable situation there under Harbaugh. So credit to Mark, because listen, there are 127 other FBS teams outside of Michigan. So credit to Cristobal for being the guy to get him here. But I don't think he would have even left Michigan in the first place if not for Jim Harbaugh making that working situation more uncertain for him than it would have been otherwise. But every Michigan person that has either unsolicited, some of them unsolicited, some of them solicited, have told me Gaddis is incredible. He's a winner. We hate to lose him. You guys got a good one. So McDaniel and Gaddis have that in common. Devin Jordan, thank you so much for the super chat. I love this. He says, Donno, I am a Tua skeptic just like you. After seeing that Tua McDaniel video, it's now official. The Dolphins are off the Watson train. That's one of the takeaways you can get. And Manny, by the way, pull up for me just to give people an idea. Maybe if you've not been on social media the last couple days, I know not everybody is. Maybe you don't follow the Dolphins Twitter for whatever reason. I think every Dolphin fan should, because, anytime you get an official communication from the club, it comes through the Dolphins Twitter account. I love this photo so much of Mike McDaniel sitting down at the team facility in Miami Gardens, putting pen to paper on his 4-year contract, sitting there with his lovely daughter. Man, that's a beautiful moment. And you see the way that the daughter is looking at him. Credit to the photographer who caught that. Like that is such a special moment. And it's like we all want to find someone who looks at us the way Mike McDaniel's daughter looks at him. My son, who's probably a little bit older than McDaniel's daughter, he's going to be 4 in a couple weeks. He usually looks at me with disdain and disappointment. But Mike McDaniel's daughter, that is a pure glow from the offspring. I absolutely love that. And, the Dolphins made that little kind of 60-second documentary that chronicled McDaniel's flight on a very nice private jet, him wearing a very nice suit, the same suit that he's wearing in this photo that you guys see. When he's flying on the plane, then he arrives at the facility. A couple things I loved about it, right? First, and the Dolphins do have that brand spanking new facility at Miami Gardens. I've actually not seen that facility yet in person. I covered the team in person for years when they were in the Davie facility, which was, kind of an average run-of-the-mill older facility. They've since moved into that beautiful new complex attached to the stadium in Miami Gardens, which is state-of-the-art. Like, they even have that slide in there. And he walks into that team facility. He says, this is the nicest facility I've ever seen. And then I love it when McDaniel is walking through the hallways and he sees they've got the photos of Larry Zonka, Ricky Williams. I'm sure they've got several photos of Marino, and he's commenting and he's saying the names and he's glowing. Like, it's been even revealed this week. he actually grew up cheering for the Miami Dolphins, which I find really cool. Not that that really matters. Like, that's, it's not part of the criteria. Like, if I'm hiring a head coach, I don't care if you grew up rooting for the team or not. Like, that's not going to be any indicator for his success here. But I think that's kind of a cool story. Yes, thank you, Manny. Feels like home, he told his wife. It's going to be his home for hopefully the next several years. It's going to be his home. But to what Devin Jordan was referencing, one of the videos that the Dolphins have thrown out there, and I think this was cool on a number of different levels. Like, they sent out a video. McDaniel is on the plane, and he has a video chat with Tua Tagovailoa, and he's talking with Tua about how excited he is and how it's his job, McDaniel's job, to bring out that greatness in Tua. He even called him bro at some point in the call, which already tells you Mike McDaniel is going to fit right in Miami. Like, he's already calling people bro. He's his person out there. There he is talking with.
Let's listen real quick. We're gonna have an extensive professional relationship, my man. One thing I know about you is you have the ambition to be great. My job is to coach you to get all that greatness out of you, and it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be work, but I know you're not afraid of that. So this is an awesome day for me, and I'm damn sure gonna make sure that when you look back on this day, you're gonna be like, damn, that was one of the best days of my career too. Okay, but I'll earn that from you. You got me? No, since you can't hear him, there's a camera on us right now. Since you can't hear him, he's telling me how excited he is, and that there's no other coach he'd rather play for in the entire world, which I thought was nice since this is the first time I've really talked to him. I'm elated, bro. It is an unbelievable opportunity for me that I do not plan on wasting in the slightest. I promise you that. I'm all in. You're going to get the best out of me that you could possibly get. There's only one way to do anything great. So, and there's no shortcuts. So let's go do something that's worth doing. It's on, bro. If you don't have eye black at home, you better go get some eye black.
Now, there's a lot to love there. I mean, I'm smiling throughout that video. And yeah, listen, Devin Jordan was right. Like, that tells you this Dolphins organization, and I know you don't all love this, and I am a Tua skeptic the same way Devin's a Tua skeptic. The Dolphins organization, at least for right now, they are all in on Tua Tagovailoa. We knew that already, folks. Like, we knew that. That's why, they liked Brian Daboll. I don't think they like Daboll as much as they like Mike McDaniel, and I agree. That's why Mike McDaniel is here and why they didn't offer Daboll before he took the job in New York. But yeah, I think the Dolphins made it very clear they wanted to bring in a head coach who had a plan to work with Tua and was eager to work with Tua. And Mike McDaniel does check off those boxes. It is what it is, man. But like I've said, guys, I've been saying this for weeks, okay? Tua, I believe, is almost 100%, like 99.5% is going to be the Miami Dolphins starting quarterback for at least one more year. You might as well give us a coach who wants to bring out the best in him. Brian Flores didn't. Brian Flores was not eager or willing to bring out the best in Tua. Brian Flores made up his mind about Tua a long time ago. He wanted to move on. And instead of accepting the fact that this is my guy, I need to make it work with him, some people use the word sabotage, and they may not be that far off on that, right? So at least Mike McDaniel, who is an offensive-minded guy and even a genius, he's a member of Mensa, for Christ's sakes, and he's a Yale graduate, and he's considered to be one of the more innovative play designers in recent memory in the National Football League. He's that well respected. Like, this guy is going to put his energy and effort into not only improving the Miami Dolphins as a whole, but improving the quarterback play, which is also going to come with improving the offensive line. And you bet your ass they're going to do whatever they can to improve that running game. That's going to be a combination of new personnel, new blocking schemes. And by the way, that's new personnel not only at the running back position, but at the offensive line. You got $66 million of cap space. I'd be fine with it if you spent the majority of that on offensive linemen. I know it's not the sexiest, most exciting thing, but it's what this team needs, man. You spend the majority of that money and those resources you have under the cap on improving and fixing that offensive line, and that's going to go a long way. So listen, and I said this on Twitter, even though I am a Tua skeptic, there was so much to love of that video of Mike McDaniel, and you saw the big grin on Tua's face. Like Tua's thinking, like I'm no longer being coached by a guy who hates me. I'm being coached by a guy who actually wants me to succeed and will be rooting for me. That's got to be some feeling for Tua, okay? And I hope they can make it work. I said it yesterday for the Tua Tagovailoa haters out there, and there are many of you. And I, to a certain extent, I sympathize. Right? I'm not one of you, but I sympathize with your plight because I do think he has limitations. I want us all to get on board and root for McDaniel and Tua together because it's the best thing for this team. If Tua Tagovailoa can find another gear and another level, that means the Dolphins are going to be better. That means they're going to be in contention. That's good for all of us. Okay. But then the other part is, okay, if it doesn't work, and if at the end of next season, you have a coach that's put him in the best possible position to succeed, and he's still just another guy, then you win. Then the haters win. And then the Dolphins are in better position a year from now to move on from Tua than they are right now. So let's give this a year. Let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya and hope that everyone can make it work because that is the best thing for this franchise. The same way I say this about the Tua stands. I don't want anyone putting a player above the club. If anyone is like, well, I'm a Tua fan, I root for Tua over the Dolphins, you're toxic. You're not a real fan. You root for the name on the front of the jersey, not on the back of the jersey. But I'll say the same thing to the Tua haters. At the end of the day, we should all want the same thing. We should all want the Miami Dolphins to be at their best. And I am going to root for Mike McDaniel, who I believe that I did initially, I preferred to bring in somebody with head coaching experience. The Dolphins didn't do that. They got another coordinator, but I think this guy can absolutely be different from the quote unquote coordinators that came before him because he's actually an innovator in this game. And he comes from the most in vogue coaching tree right now. It's refreshing to be away from that stupid ass Belichick tree. I mean, the Belichick coaching tree, just a bunch of lame, boring people who try to copy Big Daddy Bill. Like they try to just make themselves out to be carbon copies of Belichick. You can't clone Bill Belichick. When God made that weird guy, he broke the mold, okay? Whereas the Shanahan coaching tree that McDaniel comes from, that Matt LaFleur comes from, that Sean McVay comes from, these guys are innovative. They are exciting. They're actually personable. I mean, listen, I'm a little bit selfish here. Mike McDaniel is going to be a lot more fun to cover than Brian Flores was. It's going to be a lot more fun to cover than Adam Gase was. So I'm looking forward to all that. And I'm also looking forward. Oh, yeah, I like this from T-Bone. The Bella Cheek. I think he was trying to say Bella Cheat, but he called him Bella Cheek. The Bella Cheek tree is rotten. It is, man. It absolutely is rotten. Let's bring in a guy who's the opposite of rotten. He's fresh. Brady Hawk, who does a great job covering the Miami Heat for the 5 Reasons Sports Network. He is all over it with the 5 takeaways, the Brady breakdowns, contributes on 5 on the floor as well. This is a great time to be a Miami Heat fan, Brady Hawk. 3 straight wins. Things are looking good. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on again. As you mentioned, three wins in a row for Miami. Kyle Lowry's back. They're getting healthy. It's looking good for Miami.
And not only is Kyle Lowry back, it's like we are getting 2 deep point guard play. Like it's been a long time since the Heat have looked as deep and deadly at point guard as they do now. I was very wrong heading into this season and early this season about Gabe Vincent. Like I was not a Gabe Vincent fan. He has embraced the culture, and he's clearly learned so much and grown so much this year. Like it didn't even seem to matter last night whether it was Lowry on the floor or Gabe Vincent on the floor. They're getting production at that position. And I know you and we've talked about Gabe Vincent before. And even I think one of the last times I had you on, you had glowing reviews for Gabe Vincent. It's even gotten better since then, Brady. I mean, how valuable is this point guard depth to a team that doesn't historically have that?
And not only historically, if you think back to the beginning of this season, everybody was yelling and saying they needed a backup point guard, that was the one hole in this team. They had Kyle Lowry. They added a big-time point guard, but did they have one that could back up Kyle Lowry? They do now. They have a legitimate backup point guard, and I think you've seen Gabe Vincent step up into the Kyle Lowry role for one. He's basically plugged that tremendously over these recent stretches when they didn't have him. He gets them into their actions just enough. He's shooting way above his head right now, and he's shooting at an elite level. He's doing all these other things But the difference is, if we think back to earlier in the season and right now, his best minutes have come next to Kyle Lowry, which I think is just a very interesting combination. I think the reason is, for one, he's not a true point guard. For his whole life, he's been an off-ball guy, kind of a smaller two, maybe just like an off-ball one where you can work things through, maybe a Jimmy or a Bam. And Kyle's kind of similar in that way because he's such an off-ball guy as well. So they just work really well together. You saw that last night. Once again, without Tyler, Gabe and Kyle getting more run, I think it's an interesting combo. But just Gabe in general, we know what he is defensively. We've talked about it time and time again, even when the offense wasn't there, how much he can hound these other guys, these other point guards. But now you're seeing him able to run offense, shoot the ball at an elite level, and now score on the inside and do all these other things. It's like a real luxury to have him. And I don't see a way, we talked about Caleb early in the season. We've had moments where Max, but right now I'm saying to myself, I don't know how you get this guy out of the rotation moving forward.
Amen to that. Brady Hawk joins us here from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. You watch the game of basketball very analytically. When I watch this Heat team, when they're clicking like they were last night, they remind me of teams that I've watched years past, recent past. Like when the ball's moving the way that it was, they kind of remind me of the San Antonio Spurs during their dynasty, the ball movement. And then when they're hitting threes, the way that they were at 56% from three last night, 18 from 32. It's like, how do you stop these guys? How do you stop like Max Strus when he's hitting threes from down the street? Like it's crazy. Right. So that reminds me a little bit of, some of the Golden State Warriors teams we've seen in recent years. And it's obviously a little bit different from some of the classic Heat teams, which shows you how adaptable Eric Spoelstra is to his personnel. But like, who does this Heat team remind you of, like teams you've watched in recent memory?
I'd say that's some decent comps. First of all, if you're comparing it to a championship-winning Spurs team or a championship-winning Warriors team, it's some pretty good comps, but there is some similarities there. And I think the difference is, to bring this back to the Heat, is that they do have moments where they have that big-time shooting game. Like they have that, you just mentioned 56% from the three. But when they don't have that going, in recent years with the Heat, we've seen when they don't have that going, they fall off a cliff. This team does not. They have counters. They have other things to get to. And as you've seen in these last two games, I think it was in the Charlotte game early on, they weren't even shooting the best before they went and blew out Charlotte. They were not really shooting the ball well from three. What did they do? They were spamming Kyle Lowry screening and getting Jimmy mismatches. They were just getting the ball into Jimmy in the low post, and he was kind of going to work, scoring around the rim. They have those type of counters to this, that when the three isn't falling, they can come back to it, but they're not just going to keep chucking them up and putting themselves in a weird spot. That I just feel like that's the difference with a team that is maybe in the middle of the pack in the East, and then a team that's actually contending in the East, because they're not one-dimensional. And that's the similarities to those Golden State and Spurs teams, because those teams were not one-dimensional one bit.
So I'm looking at the standings in the East right now, and it feels a little bit surreal. I know it's only February, whatever, but it still feels a little bit surreal to see the Heat number one, given, all the roster turnover and adversity. You get the Heat 1, the Bucks 2, not very surprising. I mean, the Bulls had a tremendous start. They're 3rd, Cleveland 4th. That's a really good team. 76ers 5th, Toronto 6th, Brooklyn 7th. Boston 8th, Charlotte 9, Atlanta 10. Those are the playoff spots right now. I mean, maybe a couple of these are obvious, but what sticks out to you most in the current top 10? And how different do you think that top 10 is going to look come April?
Yeah, I think it could look a lot different by Thursday, as you're seeing with all these very awkward trades that are going on right now. It feels like they're all just pretty one-sided, and even the Pacers just got a lot better training, or long-term got better, because they just got Halliburton back in a trade for Sabonis. That looked pretty good. But I think when you're looking specifically matchups with the Heat, because it is interesting to look, there's certain teams, and it's not just because they beat Charlotte the other night. Those are the type of teams that I think the Heat feel really comfortable against, those where they can switch everything. Certain guys may be able to kind of go off and provide a spark, but you can live with that. I would take Miami, obviously, over these Cleveland and Torontos, but it is more of a drawn-out series, in my opinion, just because of the length that they provide, and the different things that they can provide defensively and kind of throw you off. That's the kind of where I come down with Miami in a series. But ultimately, if Brooklyn makes a trade, they probably don't get better in a sense, because they're going to be shipping off James Harden. I think Philly could end up getting a lot better, obviously, because they're moving a chip that isn't playing for a pretty decent player, but we don't really know how that's going to play out. I don't really trust Boston long-term this season throughout when you go in a playoff series. So I do think when I'm looking at this, it's pretty much Chicago has been, not been healthy as well, and they've found a way to land up there at the top of the East. I think they're a really good team that I don't really know how will play out in a postseason series. And I think the Bucks. It's interesting because it's a lot on Brook Lopez coming back, because I feel like that's kind of the factor when you talk about in a series. And the other factor is how much does PJ Tucker leaving that team and coming to Miami matter? Because if they match up in a series, I feel like that's kind of the changing factor. So that's kind of where I view the East. I think it'll stay pretty similar unless, like I said, one of those big time trades kind of pop off.
By the way, huge shout out to the unidentified celebrity review, not only for the super chat donation, which is always very generous, but for making sure, and this is a job of every viewer of the show, make sure we never get through a Miami Heat related segment without bringing up Duncan Robinson being a bum. So I appreciate you for that. He's had some mixed performances here and there, Brady. People tried to get me to sign that apology letter a couple of weeks ago. I stood strong. I never signed it. I will never sign it. I will die before I sign that apology letter to Duncan. Is there any way, and I'm not even saying I want this, but is there any way he might get traded by the deadline? I'm not expecting the Heat to do much of anything significant.
No, I really don't think there's like any way, unless we've seen, like I just said, there's these one-sided trades. Unless they throw some major piece out that one of these teams want to throw away, I just don't see a reason. The way I come down on it is that if you're trading Duncan Robinson, it has to be for a closer. And that's kind of where I stood. Even when people bring up Marcus Morris, it just feels like he's not going to be closing. Duncan Robinson's a better starting player to plug into this team right now. That it just, I don't know if there's enough on the market and there's enough available that it makes sense. I do think, I don't know if Duncan's going to be here past that, because I think things will become available after that, and maybe the contract matches up and they want to improve after that. But right now at the deadline, I just don't think it makes any sense. I think you ride it out. Yeah. And you've still seen moments, as much as we're going to harp on the bad stuff, there are certain matchups, I think, especially in the East right now, and you look at these playoff matchups that we're going through, that there's exploitable matchups for him. Of course, he won't be closing. His minutes may not be long, because we've seen his leash be cut short a lot of times from Spoelstra. But I think he can provide enough of a boost if you're playing a Philly where they're playing drop, or you're playing these other teams, maybe Boston, where he can provide just enough shooting to kind of get you through and then allow the main guys in this team to take over.
A lot of years I root for a lot of things to happen at the trade deadline, which is coming up on Thursday. Like, last year we were all on Kyle Lowry watch. He ended up coming here as a free agent anyway. They got Victor Oladipo last year, but like this year, I'd be fine kicking my feet up and just like relaxing, even if the Heat do virtually nothing. Is that how it's going to play out? Is this going to be a completely blank trade deadline for us?
Yeah, at most it feels like they're going to either trade for one of those guys on the lower end of the roster for maybe the backup four that I know a lot of people are talking about.
That I wouldn't mind that.
That just seems like the most likely. It seems like the only option that makes this team better. I don't know if it's going to be for one of those young pieces that many are discussing, because I just don't know how likely that is. But I feel like they need something to just get PJ Tucker through the rest of this season. He's been amazing. He's played a ton of minutes. But I do think that that's kind of the one hole that we've seen so many. We're talking about Gabe's that are plugging Kyle, or Caleb's that are plugging Jimmy Butler. They don't have somebody that can plug PJ Tucker. If you remember a couple weeks ago when Bam went down, and then shortly after there was a game where PJ got hurt, nobody knew the significance of that injury. We were looking around saying they don't have anybody to plug this front court without those two guys, and specifically PJ Tucker. That I don't know if a guy they trade for with maybe a KZ or something down the line, if that guy is going to be playing in a postseason series, but they need him probably down the stretch of these last 35 to 40 games to kind of just get them to that postseason spot and allow PJ to just have his legs in that type of series.
This man does an excellent job. He's always grinding. Brady Hawk at Brady Hawk 305 on Twitter. Let the people know you got so much content that you produce on the website and on the various platforms. Let the people know what they can find this week, Brady.
Yeah, 5reasonsports.com, just some film breakdowns or different players or games, sound on pieces on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel, or at Brady Hawk 305 on Twitter, and then obviously 5 on the floor throughout the week.
Do you want to be a coach someday, like a high-level coach? Is that something you'd like? Because honestly, I think you'd be really good at it, because when I watch your breakdowns, I always learn something. So I think that's really something you could pursue.
I've never thought about it, but hey, if the Heat are watching and want to reach out, I'll take we can discuss something.
I mean, if Eric Spoelstra could go from video coordinator, to one of the best coaches in NBA. I mean, I was going to say one of the best in NBA history. I don't know. Like, is that a fair thing to say? Because I would call him the premier coach in the league right now. Do you think it is fair to call Eric Spoelstra one of the best coaches in NBA history? Am I going too far?
No, I think he's up there. I think, and if you ask, you've seen him blend different eras. That I think a lot of these players would agree, because if you talk to many of these players, they do not enjoy playing against the Spoelstra schemes that he can throw at you and the different things. I think that element is just the biggest thing, because I think players more than anything respect him at another level.
Awesome. Great stuff, Brady. We'll be checking out your work and talking to you next week, man. Enjoy.
All right. Thank you.
Love it. Awesome stuff there from at Brady Hawk 305. In a few minutes, we're going to talk with Mr. Taco about it. Oh no. I hope he did. If I were Brady and the Knicks made me an offer, if he's a real Heat lifer, he refuses. Like he would refuse to coach those bums. Before we bring in our guy, Dave Friedman, Taco Bout Sports, I want to talk about the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Guys, make this your spot. You can watch every Heat game, every Florida Panthers game, international soccer. It's a pretty big football game happening this weekend. I cannot, for promotional reasons, say the name of that game while I'm doing a live commercial. I think you know the game that I'm talking about. A big game being played in Los Angeles this Sunday. You can watch that at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Hell, we also have a UFC pay-per-view on Saturday, Israel Adesanya against Robert Whittaker for the middleweight belt. You can watch that at the Quarterdeck with zero cover charge. They charge you nothing at the door to watch a UFC pay-per-view fight. Find out why I have been passionately endorsing the Quarterdeck for over 10 years. They're like a member of my family. Guys, it's such a great place to watch a game. It's such a great place to grab some drinks and to wet your whistle. They got 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. The 2-for-1 drinks, 2-for-1 cocktails, it never ends. The beer is always so cold at the Quarterdeck, and the food is delicious. The burgers and sandwiches are fantastic. The baby back ribs are so tender. All the sandwiches are great. The jerk chicken sandwich, the French dip sandwich with fresh Italian beef is so good. And guys, the seafood is amazing. If you're a seafood lover and a seafood fan, you're going to be happy at the Quarterdeck. The fresh mahi-mahi is so good. The buffalo shrimp are my favorite appetizer. It's so good, man. The sushi is so fresh. Build your own poke bowl with tons of toppings. It is an awesome place to go. You want to check out their website. You'll find the location nearest to you. They're all over Broward County. You can also check out their menu online. I like to figure out what I'm going to get before I even get there. You can find all of that at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. Guys, if there ever was a week to finally, if you've been dragging your feet, you haven't signed up yet at betus.com. America's favorite sports book, the official sports book of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. This is the week to sign up. You know that big game I was talking about, the big NFL game in Los Angeles this weekend? Guys, live betting, props. You can bet on the coin toss. You can bet on the halftime show. You can bet on how long the national anthem is going to be. Of course, you can actually bet on the game itself. Oh, there are so many things you can do at the full-service sports book. And yes, it is available in Florida, my friends. The full site available in Florida, betus.com. Betus.com is America's favorite sports book. We have America's best bonus for you. You're not going to find a bonus this good anywhere else in the gambling industry. When you sign up at betus.com and you make your first deposit, use our code 5RSN125. That's 5RSN125. They're going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus. If you deposit $100, they'll give you $125 of free play money on top of your deposit. Since we have such a big game coming up, maybe you deposit a little bit more than that. You deposit $200, they're going to give you $250 of free play money on top of your deposit, and you can bet sports, pop culture props, horse racing, futures. They have a full casino on the website, by the way. It's like having Las Vegas in your pocket. You can play slot games, blackjack for real money, all sorts of table games. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. What did I do to piss off Brooklyn Rob? He says, I took a few liberties because I knew he wasn't watching live yesterday. He said, I take issue with Mush. He stated yesterday that my 3 predictions I made were a good guess. Really, Mush? I feed you top-notch info and you brush it off as luck. Hashtag insulted. No more info for you. No, honestly, I gave you credit yesterday, Brooklyn Rob, because everything that he told me about the Dolphins coaching search, it did come true. And I said it like I don't know who his sources are, but that's how it works. Like reporters you're not supposed to reveal your sources. That's not, so he didn't reveal his sources to me. And yet like he told me that, that it was not going to be Harbaugh, that Harbaugh would stay in Michigan. Boom, he stayed in Michigan. He told me it would not be Brian Dable, wasn't Brian Dable. And he told me as of over 2 weeks ago that Mike McDaniel was going to be the guy. And boom, Mike McDaniel was the guy. So I said it, Rob. I said, either never reveal my sauces. I said either you're one of the best reporters in the business, which, evidence would back that up, or you got incredibly lucky. I'm sorry for putting that in the universe. I'm sorry for that, okay? Hey, real quick, Manny, before I bring on Taco, can you put the tweet up on the screen, the Schefter tweet that includes the statement from Brian Flores and his lawyers about Lovie Smith getting the head coaching job in Houston? This is one of the dumbest things that I've seen all week. Let me reiterate my stance on something. I still stand by this. I think a lot of good can come out of this Brian Flores lawsuit because the NFL's hiring practices have for forever, or for as long as there's been an NFL, there isn't enough diversity in their hiring practices. And I think we can all agree the Rooney Rule is kind of a joke. So there needs to be reform there. And if reform comes out of this Brian Flores lawsuit, that's a really, really good thing. But this statement that Brian Flores released, this misses the mark. This is clown stuff here. Like, I don't know why they thought this would be a good idea. Let me read it, for those who are, and I had to expand the screen to make it bigger because I don't have good enough eyes to read the fine print. Mr. Flores is happy to hear that the Texans have hired a black head coach, Lovie Smith, as Mr. Flores' goal in bringing his case is to provide real opportunities for black and minority candidates to be considered for coaching and executive positions within the NFL. Now, guys, they should have ended the statement right there. If you had ended the statement right there, that's a really classy statement. End it right. Why did you keep going? Who thought it would be a good idea to keep going? This is where it falls off a fucking cliff, okay? They continue the statement. However, we would be remiss not to mention that Mr. Flores was one of 3 finalists for the Texans head coach position. And after a great interview, which is their opinion, I mean, how the hell did they know? After a great interview and mutual interest, it is obvious that the only reason Mr. Flores was not selected was his decision to stand up against racial inequality across the NFL. This is one of the worst statements. And again, like I think a lot of good can come out of this Flores lawsuit, and I hope a lot of good comes out of the lawsuit. You're undercutting your own cause by putting this out there. Brian Flores did an interview circuit last week. He was on all the major news networks and all the major sporting news networks, including ESPN. He was on CBS News. And honestly, I thought Flores did a good job with the interviews that he did last week. And repeatedly, I watched several of these interviews. Repeatedly, Flores talked about how the lawsuit, which is a class action lawsuit, by the way, he repeatedly said, this isn't about me, right? This is about a greater good. And like he understood, I may never get an NFL head coaching job again because of this lawsuit, but this is about bringing attention to the hiring practices and creating more opportunities for black head coaches, okay? So how can you say that repeatedly throughout last week? And then this week, a black head coach gets hired at one of the stops you were interviewing at, which, like he said in the first half of the statement, is what he is trying to accomplish. And yet you still defecate all over that hire and you make it about yourself. That's awful. Like, honestly, that's terrible. Like, I mean, multiple lawyers, obviously, because the statement was written up by lawyers, multiple lawyers had to look at that and decide it's a good idea to put that statement out there, congratulate Lovie Smith, and move on. Everybody out there who are trying to sabotage the potential good that can come out of this lawsuit have been accusing Flores of being childish, bitter grapes, vendetta. All you're doing, Flo, when you release something like that, you're proving them right. Like you're proving the people who want to bring you down, because either they're, Dolphins fans who don't want the Dolphins to get in trouble. And I don't, by the way, I don't want the Dolphins to get in trouble, whether they allegedly bribed you to lose games or not. And listen, other people don't like the idea of race being in the conversation, right? And people want to stifle that. And so they're going to try to sabotage you in other areas. You are only giving those people ammunition if you're making this all about yourself, when this supposedly your quest is supposedly about advancing, an end to racist hiring practices, which is a very noble cause. Then how do you make it about yourself when they hired a black head coach? I thought that's what you wanted. I thought you wanted African Americans to be getting these opportunities. It happened in Houston, and yet you're still complaining that you didn't get the job. So, okay, what do you do now? Do you sue Lovie Smith? Like, what's the next move there? I mean, that's bad form, man. Like, I'd like the hiring practices in the NFL to get into the 21st century. And, you're not doing yourself any favors when you come out completely hypocritical like that. Martina says, now this sounds like the real Flores, 100% integrity shown only if Flores benefits. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. All right. Let's bring on, by the way. Oh, I cannot wait for you just to see this man on the screen. In fact, hold on. I'm going to take myself. Show me. You have hair extensions there. Hold on. Oh,
this is my real hair. I'm like Taco McDaniels. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Wait, I got the limited. This is for Greg Sylvander, right?
That was easy.
I got the limited Mike McDaniels going on.
So, and listen, that's so perfect. And first of all, I'm glad I finally get to see your real hair. I'm so sorry that I thought you were bald like me. I don't want to paint you as just another bald man in America when you're clearly not. But when you were on with us last week, a couple people pointed out you resemble the man who has since become the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel. The glasses certainly help. And now that you're showing us your flowing locks for the first time and you're wearing Dolphins gear, oh, we are talking, my friends, with a man who resembles the new head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Taco, your early takeaways on this hire, and this is part of what I titled the episode, McDaniel winning over Dolphins fans. And I had a feeling he would do this because he is incredibly well-spoken. He's got a kind of a quirky, fun personality, and he has this really great positive energy. And of course, this stuff doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a great head coach, but I do think he's going to be great to cover and very entertaining to cover. So what are your early takeaways of the Mike McDaniel era?
Well, first, I just want to say all the compliments. That is exactly how people would describe me too. So yeah, look, we were all excited about the McDaniel thing once things played out with Dayball, and then the Harbaugh thing came up, right? I think we were most of us were in that same spot where it's like, all right, we love McDaniel, but if Harbaugh is an option, you got to do it, right? So we're not there anymore. McDaniel was clearly the guy that we all wanted, and for once, it seems like Stephen Ross not listened to us, but gave us what we wanted, right?
Yeah, and okay, so I am a Tua skeptic, and sometimes I can't tell if you're a Tua skeptic or a Tua lover. You wear a lot of different hats, and you wear them very well.
Mike McDaniels loves Tua, by the way. I mean, I love Tua. Yeah.
and I love that video. I love the video of the phone call because even though I'm not one of these rah Tua is amazing guy. I think he has a lot of limitations, but at the same time, I have accepted the fact that he's definitely our quarterback for at least another year. And if that's the case, and it is the case, I want my head coach to be working with him and working for him, not working against him the way that the previous head coach was. So I loved, I was getting goosebumps and I was just grinning when I was watching that video. And you also saw Mr. McDaniel's sense of humor with the whole, hey, he told me there's no other coach in the world he would rather. That was some funny stuff there. So
we got fired up. We're all fired up, right?
Yeah, we're all fired up. So what do you think? What do you think this coach can do and will do with Tua Tagovailoa?
From what I've heard, he's going to make the passing game quicker. I don't know if you've heard that. Look, I think if you look at just the 49ers, right? And everyone was doing a comparison like Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's taking them deep into the playoff. But Tua's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I think we can get to that point where he's more accurate and he just has more upside too, right? So I think Mike McDaniel, him coming in, it shows that he has the confidence. Because why would he come in and take the job if he thinks he's going to fail with Tua, first of all?
Right.
So on that end of it, like I really do think that he feels that he can build a team or build an offense around Tua. Because look at them, man. They're constantly like right in the hunt. You know, always joke around about in the hunt. I do think that if he can get that offense to do a little bit more and help the defense out, they can make the playoffs. They can do some damage against teams like the Chiefs. We've seen it, right, with Tua. So all of that stuff can come to fruition, hopefully, but we need Tua to prove himself this year.
Right. And quick passing game, it's obviously going to help Tua. I think the outside zone blocking schemes, which are going to benefit the running game and thus benefit Tua, are going to be really, really big here. Where do you think the Dolphins end up spending most of their free agent money and resources? Because I said it earlier, Taco, that I know it's not the sexiest thing, but yet I think most Dolphin fans agree. You know, they're $66 million under the cap. If they spend like 45, 50 mil of that just on the offensive line, I wouldn't complain.
Yeah, look, anybody who's watched the Dolphins for years at this point, it's you got to protect Tua, especially with his injury history. And look, every quarterback needs protection, right? I mean, it's just a matter of allowing him to run that offense, because you saw even the last game with Jimmy Garoppolo, that last interception he threw, the Rams defense was all on top of him and you know, it puts you in a bad spot. So it's you really just got to do what you got to do to get Tua in the best position to succeed, because that's, look, clearly winning and getting to the playoffs is a big thing. But really, the season is about Tua, unless I'm crazy and I'm just making that up, right? So I think that's what it is. You got to focus on helping him. Anything else is, look, they need a fullback. I think they need a Kyle Juszczyk fullback. But other than that, OT all day.
Now, you know, another thing, a lot of people are, you know, because they watch San Francisco's offense and they just kind of assume, okay, like who's going to play the Deebo Samuel role? Is it going to be Jalen Waddle? Is it going to be Lynn Bowden? I don't think there's a direct equivalent. Like, I don't think that the Dolphins have anybody that really fits that mold. And you know what? Like, and if they don't, it's fine, because I give McDaniel credit, and this is the main reason why I like this hire. Like, I keep using the word innovative and innovation. I think that's the biggest thing he brings to this job. Let's not pretend he's run out of ideas. Like, let's not pretend that everything. He's 15 years as a coach in professional football. You know, most of that with the NFL, a couple years in the what was it, the UFL. So he's been around. He's gone up the ranks as an assistant. Let's not act like, you know, 2022, every idea he's ever had has been employed. Like, I'm sure he's going to come up with new schemes and new wrinkles we've never seen before to fit the Dolphins personnel.
Again, like, he doesn't take the job if he doesn't think he can do the job. So he may not have a Deebo on the team, but like, he thinks that he can build an offense. And I think that's sort of going back, looking at the Chan Gailey thing, and this year with 2 offensive coordinators, and years before that, it's like offensive coordinators seem to come in, Adam Gase, and want to put their offense into play and make their players adjust to that. And I think the innovative thing, that's what the difference is. Like, I think he will come in. He has an offense, obviously, but he's going to make changes and adjustments based on what he has. And maybe they will go get a Deebo type. And look, I'm clowning the people about the Lynn Bowden Jr. thing, but like, maybe, I don't know. But like, Waddle's a little too small for that. I think Waddle will be the guy that he's able to do a lot of stuff with. I think that's clearly why they drafted him. He has a lot of ability with the ball in his hands. Just not going to be him in the backfield running up the middle. That's not going to happen.
What about, does this now create more urgency to make sure the Dolphins keep Mike Gesicki, because I could see, like, I can imagine that Mike McDaniel looks at a guy, not a great blocker, of course, but versatility in the passing game. Like, you look at Mike Gesicki, he's thinking, I can do a lot of stuff with this dude.
Hey, maybe Gesicki can play the Debo role, right? That's kind of similar because he's kind of like a wide receiver. The difference is, like, he's not a George Kittle. You know, George Kittle can block. I think he's the best all around tight end in the league.
I agree.
Gesicki is more of like a wide receiver that's tagged as a tight end, right? So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, they need to go get, I think, some more physical players, because the way that McDaniels runs that offense, it's, you know, run heavy, first of all, sets up the play action, things like that. But they're going to be, it's not going to be like a Pat Mahomes high scoring offense when, you know, it's going to be the same type of team, I think, in the sense of Brian Flores with the defense. Aren't they keeping most of their coordinators anyways?
Yeah, well, and that's another thing I wanted to ask you, and they have the option to do that, because, you know, one of the things about Brian Flores not getting another head coaching job, because if he did, he'd probably look to bring some of those defensive coaches to his next stop. That's not an option for them. Now, some people
do they want to go with him at this point?
I was about to say that some people would tell you they hate him, they wouldn't want to go with him anyway. But so we don't even have to think about that, because he didn't get another job. And obviously the defensive coaching staff did a fine job last year. But there is somebody else being talked about, a potential to bring Vic Fangio here to run the defense. And I'd be fine either way. Like, if he kept Boyer and the current defensive crew, I'd be totally fine with that. But I mean, if he really has the option, I'd probably prefer bringing in Vic Fangio, because, I mean, this is a proven defensive mind, but also, you know, you've got a first-time head coach. You've got a guy on the staff who has head coaching experience. You can kind of, whatever questions he has about that process, things he's never experienced before, Fangio could help him with some of that stuff. So I'd be totally fine with that.
For me, I'm not going to pretend like I know the difference between a Fangio defense and what they have now. I'm not going to get into that part. We've all wanted like a fresh start, right? And they never go through the whole organization with Greer. They never do it.
Yeah.
But, like, just bring a new defensive coordinator and, like, wipe the team itself clean, minus the front office. Give us the fresh start, because the reality is, like, I think the players are also a little bit exhausted. Like, you're Tua, right? So the whole locker room at some point, if they're behind Tua, they all have to be kind of exhausted of what's been going on. Fresh start. Like, that's just how I look at it, you know?
Amen. By the way, let's take a quick detour from the Dolphins, because I want to get to this. Adam was nice enough to leave us a super chat donation. Thank you so much. Do you see the Heat making any deadline deals? I really don't. Like, unless they can make something to bring in, you know, a backup 4, which Markieff Morris was supposed to be. I think it's going to be really, really quiet. We spoke with Brady Hawk earlier, and my thing, Taco, is, honestly, why would I tinker with this roster? Like, aside from the fact that Duncan Robinson is overpaid, but he might be useful. Like, he might be useful in the playoffs and in the finals. Like, I'm not going to completely dismiss Duncan, but this roster has so much chemistry and so much depth. I'd be perfectly fine if they did nothing at the deadline.
Yeah, I think it's like it's tricky, because like, obviously when if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing, right? So I agree with you. Separate from that, they already sort of are making a trade in the sense of Oladipo is going to come back,
right? And
everyone's aware of that. Obviously, it's not like I'm a genius here.
No, honestly, sometimes I forget he exists. Sometimes, so I'm glad you brought that up, because I hadn't brought it up yet today.
So for me, it's like, look, if they end up making some sort of trade for the Morris brother, great, that will be cool, and maybe he will come in and help a lot. I mean, he's good, right? Other than that, I agree with you. Like, but either way, I think they could bring anybody in, and I don't really think Jimmy and Kyle and Bam, like, they're not allowing anyone to disrupt what's going on. And
right.
Spo, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So culture wins out all the time. If they make a move, great. If not, let's go. Heat and 5, right?
Absolutely. Hey, before I let you run, I want to talk a little bit about Prize Picks, and I figured you're the perfect guy to help me do that. You do the Prize Picks on 5 coverage. This might be this is the biggest week of the year for Prize Picks, right? And yeah, please, when you sign up at prizepicks.com or the Prize Picks mobile app, use our code 5. Taco, have you gone into the lab already and started to consider your overs and unders for that big game in Los Angeles this weekend. I don't think we're allowed to say the name of it when we're promoting something. There is a very big game happening on Sunday. Have you already started to look at and tinker with the possibilities?
So I was today years old, by the way, when I learned we can't say those words.
Oh, really? Oh, because you're not, because see, I've worked in corporate radio for like 17 years, and they like if you don't abide by that rule, like they give you like a verbal ass kicking in the back because like they're very sensitive about that.
I've been coaching for 17 years. So. No, look, I have I've been looking at the boards a lot. Obviously, I feel like. On my end of it, I kind of like to get a feel for it because they go up and down throughout the week. But typically, you can get some lower numbers earlier in the week. So, if you like anything, like I said, go jump on there. Use code 5 when you sign up. Like I said, if anything, browse through it. I mean, that's the main thing. For me, I like to do a lot of research, look at, matchup history if it's there. Just things like that, previous games, XYZ. So give yourself some time before the weekend comes. And
right.
Win some money with us. Like we're going to be rich at the end of the day on Sunday, right? After this big game that we can't talk about.
Yeah, and by the way, Alfredo is right here on the clarity. You can say the name when you're talking about the game. You can say it. We just can't say it like when we're promoting something like Prize Picks or Bet US, where we're like, we're doing a commercial like that. That's when we can't say it. So we can say it. Like when I'm talking, who's gonna win? Yeah, who's gonna perform this week? But when I'm talking about something like Prize Picks, we cannot.
Yeah, it's a good thing because, like, I'm telling you, we would have done a show for Prize Picks on 5, and Ethan wouldn't tell us. So I'm gonna give him a hard time. But yeah, no, we're like I said, go sign up, code 5, win some money with us.
That was easy.
Bang.
I love it, Dave. Thank you so much for taking the time as always. What is that? Is that steam smoke?
Yeah, it's coming out of nowhere. It's just we're excited.
I love it, man. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk.
Love you.
That is so great. All of a sudden, like, dude, I love it. He's got the McDaniel hair, which apparently he revealed that's actually his real hair. He's been pretending he's bald for as long as I've known him. He's a full head of hair. He's got the whole get up, and he's actually smoke just appears as if from nowhere. Why were you trying to bring him? Are you trying to prove that he's really bald? Is that why you're trying to bring him back into the frame? Oh man, I feel so bad for my son, by the way, because both sides of my family, like people say, oh, it comes from like the mother's side, not the father's side, the baldness thing. My male relatives on both sides are bald. I didn't have a chance. I don't think my son's gonna have a chance either. So I tell him, I mean, he's not even 4, but I tell him, enjoy that hair, kid, while you've got. And by the way, I can already see he does not have a strong hairline either way. Like one of the things I've been bald my entire adult life, and you see, like it started when I was a teenager. I started to get the power alleys, and even when I was like 10, I didn't have a strong hairline. Like I knew something was off. And I can see it like in my 4-year-old son, I can see not a strong hairline. Like if you were to like pull his hair back or shave his head, it's like, it's like rounded. It's just not good. So I'm going to tell him, enjoy the hair you have for as long as you possibly have it, man. That's going to be my message to him. So yeah, so make sure, again, sign up at prizepicks.com, PrizePicks mobile app or the website. Use our code 5 and they will match your deposit up to $100. So if you deposit $100, they give you $100 of free play money. Prize Picks is great. You select 2, 3, or 4 players, and it doesn't even all have to be one sport. You can go cross team and cross league with your selections, and you predict whether they're going to go over or under their fantasy projection. And if you get those 2, 3, or 4 all correct, you win money. You can win 4 times your bet on getting 4 players correct. So Prize Picks is awesome. It truly is daily fantasy simplified. Donno being bald saves haircut money. Oh, yes. Haircut money and shampoo money. Now, I still do use shampoo because it's like shampoo. It's not just about your hair. It's also about your scalp being clean. So I do use shampoo, but like a bottle of Head and Shoulders lasts me for like a year and a half. It's great. Like I save a lot of money on shampoo. I haven't actually had to pay for a haircut since I was like, I don't know, in like my early mid-20s. Like even like I'd lost most of my hair by my mid-20s, but like I would still go and get a haircut. But then eventually most of it was gone. And like you can't just like when all I'm doing is just shaving my head. I can't justify like paying somebody $25-$30 to do something I could do at home for free. So yeah, I save a ton of money on those haircuts as well. I want to throw out some shout outs before we get out of here. I have a big soccer match to watch. That's why we did the show an hour early today. In Dade, thank you so much. And by the way, in Dade, he really thought that Taco was actually Mike McDaniel. It turns out he's just a Mike McDaniel lookalike. Like he thought we had the actual coach of the Miami Dolphins. Chris C, thank you so much. Ladies love bald men. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I feel like baldness is more acceptable now when it comes to like being attractive. It's more acceptable now than it was, I don't know, 15 years ago or so. Like, I don't know. I think there's enough like bald trailblazers like Vin Diesel. Bruce Willis is older, but he's got that classic bald head look. Dana White seems to do pretty well for himself. So, being bald is not as taboo as it used to be. But then you also have traitors like Tom Brady and Wes Welker who go out and get the transplants. I'm not about that life. Now, unless if there is a hair clinic that wants to sponsor this show and part of your sponsorship would be a beautiful bald man like myself goes through the transplant process and like you foot the bill for it and you want to advertise, I will sell out. Like I will. There's got to be finance. Like I'm not just going to do it like, oh, I'm going to pay like $6,000 for a hair transplant because I feel like no, I would never betray the bald community like that, but I would sell out. Okay, so let's be clear on that. If you run a hair transplant clinic and you want to get behind Donno Daily, giddy up. Let's go. Me and Taco will get. Oh, actually, sorry, Taco has a full head of hair. How dare I even say that? Oh, but he does say he wants in. He wants in on the bald advertisement money. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Mr. Clean, Gary Friedman says. VLKV, thank you so much for tuning in. Jose says, thank you so much. How about hats? I do like, obviously like being bald, I do wear a lot of hats, but that's not the only reason why I wear hats every day on the show. Part of the reason why I wear hats, like I care about the way that this looks on YouTube and I want the lighting to be good. And when I have my head out, it's just like, it's so pale. It kind of throws out the whole lighting. Like I don't know. I think it looks like my face has a better shade to it when I'm wearing a hat. So it's like, I'm not that embarrassed by being bald, but one of the reasons why I wear hats on the show every day is because I think the lighting looks better when my shiny head is covered up. It just, the whole contrast works better that way. So that explains that. David, thank you so much for tuning in. Brooklyn Rob, thank you so much for watching as always. Oh, something's off, all right, and it has nothing to do with hair. Brooklyn, I've met Brooklyn Rob before. I think from what I recall, he's got a very good head of hair. I think I remember that correctly, that he's got good hair. Tony 2 times, who I think is also bald. Thank you so much for tuning in. Jose, thank you so much for watching today. Alfredo Artiaga, thank you so much. The man, the myth, the legend from 3 yards per carry, who joins us every Monday on the show. Cap for life, thank you so much. And Cap, we love you, even though he's not a big fan of Miami Heat talk. Free to each his own, man. He's here for the Dolphins talk. That's cool. I didn't talk quite as much Canes today as I wanted to, but Cristobal has been making home run hires, and I absolutely love it. I love what he's doing there. I mean, the defensive backs coach out of Georgia, Adai, just last year alone, he was responsible for 3 5-stars that went to Georgia. He's an elite recruiter and a very good defensive backs coach. We were all upset that T-Rob left, but Adai probably even better than T-Rob. Like, Miami upgraded there. And Josh Gaddis, the offensive coordinator, you take a sitting offensive coordinator from Michigan, that is a home freaking run hire. And I've talked to a lot of fans and media over the last couple of days who cover and root for Michigan. Nobody has a negative thing to say about that guy. Like, it's crazy. Rave reviews from everybody, and they're sorry to see him go. Like, and the reason why, and they blame, probably rightfully so, they blame Jim Harbaugh, for his shenanigans, flirting with the NFL and creating an unstable environment there. But Miami becomes a benefactor there. beneficiary, I should say. And listen, still give credit to Cristobal, because even if Gaddis like wanted to leave because of Harbaugh, there are 127 other FBS schools, and Miami's the guy who got him, right? So that just goes to show you what a good job Cristobal did there. Color commentary, thank you so much. Elijah Rick, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you. Yeah, people talking about how McDaniel is going to use the Dolphins personnel, which I'm very looking forward to seeing. Of course, we throw out a few more shout outs. Adrian, thank you so much for tuning in today. We appreciate you. And by the way, guys, while you're here, I always say this at the beginning of the show. I forget to say it at the end of the show. Please smash the like button. Hit that like button. The more likes we get, the more people are going to see this video. You help spread the gospel of Donno Daily and 5 Reasons Sports. So hit the thumbs up button, the like button. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the 5 Reasons Sports Network. And if you care to, turn the notifications on, because then you see every time we go live or if we post a new video, it gives you a little notification. If you want those on, awesome. If you don't want them on, don't worry about it. Just subscribe. You don't have to turn the notifications on. It is not mandatory. Perfect Q, thank you so much. Adam, thank you so much. And thank you again for the generous super chat. We love you. We appreciate you. All right, who else haven't? I know we got a couple of other super chats, so I want to make sure to get to those. And I also don't want to repeat the same shout outs over again. Martina, thank you so much for watching. Always love when we see the repeat viewers. Andy from Scotland talking about the Flores statement. I completely agree. Narcissistic and delusional statement that he made about Lovie Smith. And if I'm Lovie Smith, I'm pissed. I'm like, bro, like, what are you doing, man? Like, just either say nothing or congratulate me and move on. Like, you're going to say, oh, the only reason why I got the job and you didn't is, because of your lawsuit situation. It's not a good thing for Flores to say. Echidna, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Power. Thank you so much for watching today. Starfish Cameo, thank you so much for watching. Why do people come up with such complicated names? Mugike Leaves? I feel like such an idiot trying to say some of these YouTube names. Jose, here's an easy one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Jose Matos, we love you. Itchy Goat, thank you so much. Some people do and some people don't want to trade Duncan Robinson. Lucy, thank you so much for tuning in. Now, is your name Lou C middle initial, or is your name Lucy? And you go by Lucy? I would love to know. Zachary B, thank you so much for tuning in. Taco for joining the show and tuning in. Jim, thank you so much. And I see Jim also sometimes leave comments like on the video, not live chat, but real comments. I appreciate that. If you guys, after the video is over, if you want to leave some comments on the YouTube video and continue the conversation there, I always read all those, good, bad, or ugly. I read all the comments. Thank you for the super chat. The unidentified celebrity review. Love it. Thank you so much for tuning in. DP, thank you so much. T-Bone. It's the nickname George Costanza tried to give to himself. T-Bone, thank you so much for tuning in. Then he ended up being nicknamed Coco. He didn't want to be Coco. He wanted to be T-Bone. Devin Jordan, thank you so much. Christian, thank you so much. Junior Maga, thank you so much. Chris at the Finns Tailgate, thank you. Ninja Viking, thank you. I think I might have skipped some people in the middle. I apologize. I need to wrap it up in a minute. I'm already late to watch the soccer match I wanted to watch. Big Dan 305, thank you so much. That'll do it for the shout-outs. If I skipped over you, I didn't do it on purpose. Comment again tomorrow. We will see what we can do. I will talk to everyone again tomorrow on another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.